The people defending cheating in Pokemon get crazier by the day as their brain rots more and more from the cognitive dissonance. Like my other videos, I do this just to kind of show you guys that it's real. I need to document this. This behavior needs to be shown somewhere, and maybe something gets done and Pokemon becomes playable again. So, until that happens, gonna need all your guys' support. If you enjoy what I do, like, comment, share. Let's watch how crazy people have gotten in Pokemon, how toxic it is. I'm amazed that you still exist. How? Why? Where am I going to go? I'm doing the right thing. Why do you want the right thing to vanish so badly? Although there will always be drama to chase around, so it only makes sense you can always sustain yourself. It's just the stupidity, like the immediate stupidity of nothing making sense, because they can't cope with the fact cheating is wrong, so now their entire worldview is shattered, and they can't be coherent. If I wanted more money or sustainability, I would do the thing that over 90% of the Pokemon community supports, which is cheating. But I'm not a bad person, so I don't do that, and then how is it drama to state the fact that Wolfe Glick is a confirmed cheater and lies about it to steal prize money from VGC events, which has now totaled over tens of thousands of dollars, if it isn't already over $100,000 in prize money stolen from cheating at events. So yeah, like, I don't understand. How's this drama? How am I, like, trying to sustain myself by doing the thing that's going to make everyone hate me? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's not drama to cover the fact. Pretty much went over that. And now we can watch the derangement come online in full display. Kept your old tactics of reflecting accusations, I see. What is it about weirdos and midwits? It's like they heard about it being used in a book once, or they watched a movie and then like, ah, yes, clearly that is how people talk when they have the intellectual superiority over someone else. And like, what old tactics? Like, where is this guy coming from now? It's like, how long have I been rent-free in their head for just saying the truth? Wolfe is a confirmed cheater. Cheating is wrong, and these kids lose their mind over that. And I'm reflecting by saying the truth, and that's a tactic of mine. Frankly, I see cheating as a rebellion about the unnecessary barrier to entry that one must go through in order to get their team going. And we already have a lot to break down, because we have elite competition for tens of thousands of dollars in prize money, and the ability to make a living off of playing competitive Pokemon. Also, the rules are opt-in. You see these people that try to have like some deep, complex thing about the subjectivity of laws and morality, when it's like, yeah, but these are opt-in rules. Being born into and mandated by the laws of a society that you don't have control over is different than opting into rules, breaking them, and then lying about it to deprive other players of the prizes. So there is no rebellion. This is now immediately an invalid protest. You protest by not playing. Like, I don't care if someone says ginning should be legal and then they don't compete or defend cheating in competition, because that's how you do it. If the amount of players drops to like 20 and then VGC becomes unsustainable, then either Pokemon is forced to close VGC because there's no point to it if no one's playing, it's not doing anything for the company, or they change the rules to allow what is being protested. But you're not rebelling by deliberately inflicting harm onto others. And even though this is just like one sentence, there's more to break down here, because the unnecessary barrier to entry for the highest form of competition in Pokemon, that's just a lie, and I've debunked it many times on the channel now, because these entitled brats just don't understand anything about the real world. Almost all Olympic athletes have a job outside of training for the Olympics, and then they have to take on loans and debt to fund their Olympic dreams. Now, yes, some get sponsors early on because they have natural talent, or they have connections and natural advantages through, like, family wealth or something. But that's, again, an incredibly tiny amount of Olympic competitors. And that doesn't stop the other people from trying to make it while they take on a second part-time job, because it costs so much money to train for an athletic event or whatever form of competition they're going for. And that's what the younger generations, these losers, don't understand. The amount of work and sacrifice that is required to be competitive in any discipline. And it's kind of weird how we're not talking about, oh yeah, the Asian discipline, because back, over a decade ago when esports was starting to come on, it's like, how do you beat Asian players in video games. You don't. You can't, because they dedicate everything in their lives to playing that game, to mastery, and the West never adopted that, and now we just get more and more entitlement and social media brain rot of people that are just like, yeah, well, none of that's fair, no one should ever have to do that. You must do that if you want to be the top of any discipline and make a living off of it, which is also why you see complaints and crying about like, oh, minimum wage should be a living wage, oh, no one should have to work more than 40 hours a week. Well, the person that's grinding, picking up the extra jobs, working 60, 70 hours a week, they're the ones that are going to surpass you because they're saving money. They're probably going to have a better budget. They're probably going to have more discipline, so now they're saving money. They buy that house before you. They drive up the demand and the prices, and now you lose out because you're a brat. Pokemon trickles into society is also another theme that's been carrying for over the decade. I've been making Pokemon videos on YouTube, and I've been calling it out for over a decade. No one wants to work for their things anymore. No one plays the games that they're competing in, and no one understands, like, yeah, Pokemon is objectively one of the most accessible forms of competition. It takes less time and less money than any other sport and most esports. Do you genuinely believe the current way to get a team is good or even serviceable? Yes, the entire history of Pokemon VGC has been fair and serviceable, even going back to Generation 4 and Generation 5. You don't need to have perfect competitive Pokemon as long as everyone is playing by the same rules. And it actually creates like a beautiful interaction of how much time do you spend training? How do you allocate your resources? That means resource time management is going to be a skill required for competitive Pokemon, because it's not about being a Pokemon battler. It's about being a Pokemon trainer. Every element of Pokemon comes together to determine if you are a true Pokemon master. Getting your Pokemon good enough for the strategy, that way you still have time to grind the items, the resources, the tutor moves, or whatever, and then getting practice against other teams with your team, developing your strategy more. Yeah, that was fine even before the Destiny Knot in Generation 6. And then competitive Pokemon has only gotten easier and easier, but these brats cry more and more, and they keep cheating, and they keep defending cheating. And that's, like, even though I sound like a broken record in every video, it needs to kind of keep being restated. They were always cheating. No one was RNGing back in Generation 5. There's chat logs of Ray Rizzo admitting to using Pokegen, because it takes less time now to get a competitive team than it took to RNG back in the day. So it's like, if they're not doing it now when it's easier, they definitely weren't doing it back then. Everyone was hacking and getting the insurmountable advantages of impossible Pokemon with perfect IVs, hidden power, shininess, and all of that other stuff. And that's the only reason why they were winning. But no, full shiny team isn't cheating, says all of these idiots and brats back when it was harder to get full shiny teams, and no one's still getting legitimate full shiny teams today. Generation 6, Generation 7, all these perfect teams, all these PP ups, of course they were hacked. It was just obvious. It was blatant that they were hacked, but people that want to cheat or can't accept, like, oh no, this person I like ended up being a cheater, they just cannot cope with reality, and it's been continuing like that for well over a decade, which is why competitive Pokemon is rotten, and the corruption of the Pokemon company needs to be exposed for this. Elite competition demands work and sacrifice. The hundreds or thousands of hours it would take to get competitive in like Pokemon X and Y is fair if you're trying to be the best Pokemon player in the world. There's no respect for that because these brats have never earned anything in their life and they have no value. Or do you oppose those who rebel against the crappy system? Well, it's objectively not a crappy system. It's incredibly fair, especially when compared to all other forms of competition. And again, this is not a rebellion to cheat and harm others deliberately and deprive them of prize money by acting dishonestly. In the end, what determines the skill of a player is how they play and build, which is another lie I've debunked a million times. The rules say, nah. If you don't like the rules, don't play. But the rules of VGC and official competitive Pokemon say that's not how it goes, or else hacked Pokemon would be allowed. And it's so disallowed that it goes beyond a Pokemon having quote-unquote possible moves or stats. A Pokemon that is contained in a Pokeball, which cannot be found through normal gameplay or official promotions, is illegal. You are not allowed to use it, which also debunks anyone that says, like, oh, Gen Pokemon are legal, or legal stats, or this Pokemon's legal. No, that's a lie. The Pokemon is illegal the second any modification touches it, as deemed by multiple sections of the rules. If you're outside of normal gameplay, which also includes RNG, that's why RNGing has never been legal as well, then the Pokemon is not allowed for competition because it gives an advantage and it's cheating. And then I've gotten arguments with people even recently where I'm like, yo, read the rules, attacked, and they're saying like, oh, I ain't gonna read all that. So wait a second, you're defending hacking, you're defending cheating, and you've never read the Pokemon rules, so therefore you don't think it's against the rules, the use of external devices to modify or create items or Pokemon in a competitor's battle team is expressly forbidden. There is no ambiguity to this whatsoever, and yet idiots will still ask, oh, but what if I hack in Terra Shards, or oh, what if I hack in vitamins or bottle caps? No items, no unnatural gameplay, no hacking, no modification is allowed. Competitors found to have Pokemon or items that have been tampered with may receive disqualification, regardless if traded for. So trading for it doesn't count either, which also proves why Wolfe is a cheater, even though he's done it his entire career. You know, after the 5th team of hacked Pokemon that you've used, it's no longer an excuse to say, well, I got it from other people. Especially as the world champion, who has proven to know nothing about Pokemon legality by using a Dream Ball Raichu with an Egg move in Generation 6. And then we can also see that with Ray Rizzo, knowing nothing about Pokemon legality, by having a Dream Ball Aegislash. They're all cheating scumbags, and they're liars. Wow, who would have guessed? So no, the rules debunk this as a lie, and these idiots are too deranged to cope with that. Not the constant resets or money spent to get their team. This also shows, like, these kids don't play Pokemon either. And that's another common thread where, like, they'll say something incredibly outdated or really weird, like breeding legendaries or breeding a 0 IV Golden Go, because they've never done anything. They say hyper training existed in Generation 6. Or you could mint Pokemon in Generation 7, because they're just cheaters. They've always cheated, they've always defended cheating, they've always been worthless. So you see things about, like, constant resets or money spent, but that just kind of shows, like, there's a skill to getting competitive Pokemon. Someone that's better at breeding, someone that understands the game mechanics, someone that understands how to get money faster is going to have an advantage as a Pokemon trainer for Pokemon acquisition that is dictated by the rules, because it's not about the skill of the battler. And then people say, like, oh, what if you just buy all your Pokemon or you get them from someone else like Wolfe? Well, Wolfe proves that doesn't work. He didn't get the hacked Raichu or hacked Perfect IV legendaries for his 2016 Worlds team, despite being a very popular VGC player with tons of features. Same thing for all the other top VGC players and their hacked Pokemon teams. And then even going into modern Pokemon, where Wolfe has more of a following and is the most popular VGC player, he cannot source Pokemon from others without them being hacked. So used a hacked Moltres, also used a hacked Groudon and Incineroar, and then his excuse is, oh, I got it from other people, even though this is a thread of him using hacked Pokemon for over a decade for his entire career and lying about it. So yeah, there's no honesty, and Wolfe himself proves that there's no issue with, like, oh, but what if you just get it from other people? Isn't that an advantage? Yes, but it's a legal advantage, but it actually just never happens. And because the rules say, like, your Pokemon have to be legal, it's also testing for your skill for training Pokemon. And then bad faith idiocy. Let me give a what if. What if there was a way to 100% legitimately gen your team? Well, that, like, and that's the thing, they can't get rid of their terms, because they're always bad faith. They're always rotten and disingenuous. Wow, a cheater being disingenuous. Who would have guessed? Because instead of saying hacking, they say genning. And they're like, oh, it's legal. Because a gen Pokemon is legal, a hacked Pokemon is hacked. It's like, no, all gen Pokemon are hacked. All hacked Pokemon are illegal. Like, what are they saying here? And then they're also not talking about, like, an official simulator. They're trying to twist the words and mix up the argument to trap me or something, but it doesn't work because they're too stupid to make anything coherent. So let's, like, you get a 100% legitimately hacked team in-game without any external devices. Well, that's, like, beyond impossible. That is beyond a hypothetical level of impossible. That is a scenario that can never, ever exist. So, like, what is happening here? Would you still see people who gen, at the very least, dishonorable players who refuse to make the team the intended way? But then how is it not the intended way anymore if it's legit and allowed? This is an impossible level of stupidity and a brain just short-circuiting from being unable to accept Wolfe is a cheater and cheating is wrong, and then defending it, and then realizing, like, oh, wait, I've dedicated my entire life to hating this person for being against cheating. I can't go back on that now, because no modern era person, no one that's terminally online can ever admit when they're wrong, so they just double down until it becomes completely incoherent. So I respond with pretty much the same responses here, and then they just go even crazier. I was willing to have a civilized argument with you. At what point was any of this civilized? They came in hot. They're trying to demean me by saying they're amazed I still exist. They call me a drama chaser that can't live or sustain myself in any other way. And then they you know, old tactics, these negative things. They're saying they haven't been respectful or willing to engage at all. I debunk them. They deflect while hypocritically accusing me of reflecting, which is weird, and their entire stance is objectively immoral to defend and excuse lying, cheating, and stealing, and then saying, like, doing those things is actually proper rebellion. The person defending lolly and getting offended when you call them disgusting was never trying to have a civilized argument. But you keep throwing insults. There's also a consistent amount of typos, which really shows we are dealing with, like, sub 80 IQ, and for some reason the Pokemon community is a funnel for that level of intelligence and toxicity. But if you keep throwing insults, I'm going to have to do the same. You don't, which is beneath me. You say you're going to have to do it, and it's not beneath you. And again, this is where we see, like, the mid-wit intellectual speak they are attempting, because, again, they saw it in some form of media and thought, like, that's how you're supposed to communicate. I'm just stating facts, and me insulting someone over refusing to accept facts doesn't change reality. But then they have to deflect. This person has been crushed. They have been destroyed in every possible way for every part of their argument, and they cannot cope with that, so now they have to keep deflecting away from it. But again, this person is denying the definition of cheating. But this person is willfully denying the facts of cheating and how competition works. That makes them an idiot by definition. So once again, I'm stating definitions, I'm stating the truth, and that offends them. Indeed, I don't play VGC because I dislike the rules and the way of getting a viable team. So speaking from complete ignorance, knowing nothing about competitive Pokemon, knowing nothing about the game, knowing nothing about the rules, and then thinking they're in the right. Yes, this is actually an idiot. And there is no disqualification or lessening of my argument by stating that fact when they are completely ignorant and completely wrong the entire time, and they keep arguing it because they only live for hate, negativity, and toxicity because there's nothing else to their miserable life. So I can have a similar experience on Showdown. Cool, unofficial. Go play Showdown. You don't like the rules of VGC? Don't play VGC. You're not allowed to cheat as a form of protest or rebellion. They lose potential players because the barrier is so high. That's a lie. The barrier is lesser than almost all other forms of competition. The reason why VGC is not taken as a legitimate esport, or is not as large as it could be, is because of cheaters, objectively. That's just how having cheating diminishing your sport works. Guess you had issues understanding my what if. I'll make things clearer for you. Only the voices in this person's head would not have issues trying to understand this what if. I was only mentioning the people legitimately ginning. There's no legitimate ginning as the rules, and this person doesn't play or understand the rules. So, like, what are they arguing for? They're just brats that want to cheat or live vicariously through cheaters like Wolf, who are frauds. Wolf has nothing. Wolf is nothing if cheating is punished and gets banned from Pokemon like he rightfully deserves. Then that goes into corruption of the Pokemon Company, and that's why I try to expose. I expect you to get the fact that using PK Hex would be redundant. See, that's because they're trying to do all this, like, weaselly stuff and twist the words and twist it around to confuse the argument and then try to get me in a gotcha. But the IQ disparity is way too large for that to be possible. So I was asking if you hated the fact that ginning is external or the fact of ginning at all. And then it's like, oh, this person just can't comprehend anything I have said, any of my positions, anything I typed in the comments or said in any video. Cheating is wrong. That's all there is to it. If you cannot understand what the position of cheating being wrong means, you are too stupid for conversation, and being terminally online has turned your brain into mush. A non-gen team versus a gen team is the same matchup, except that is objectively false. That the person with the gen team now has more experience, more time, more resources, more practice. They took all the shortcuts. They have cheated and broken the rules, so you are not in the same matchup. There's no world where you're going to get two NPCs and have them have the exact same experience obtaining the team and understanding of Pokemon to then compete on a truly neutral field. That's why rules exist, to define the legal and illegal advantages in competition. You can take pride in making your team in-game, but you have to agree that's a massive bother for those who just want to battle. Okay, then you have no right to competition or battling. Why are you playing the game? Like, these people don't play the game, and then they want to participate in the game without doing anything. I wanted to get in the VGC, but I cannot be bothered doing all sorts of stuff just to have a team that becomes redundant by next season. So now you're admitting that this always happens, and there's multiple videos of me with multiple comments about this. Like, this is just admitting that Jinning gives an advantage because you're constantly cycling your teams for the seasons. You're going from week to week, event to event, and that makes it impossible for a legitimate player to keep up because the meta changes every day because of the acceleration through Jinning. So you're an entitled brat. It doesn't matter if you don't want to get into VGC. That doesn't change that banning the cheaters and enforcing cheating for VGC would make the scene grow because now it becomes a legitimate esport or a legitimate form of competition. Couldn't be bothered to gen either, but some people do. That's another funny thing. People are like, oh, if we just made genning legal, then it's completely fair. Except no, then there's actually unfairness inside of genning. The person that is stuck with like free trade bots is going to lose to the person that has like that pays for premium trade bot access. And that gets into its own legal mess of black market Pokemon dealings that are now in the rules in this made-up world that will never exist where Nintendo says you're allowed to hack our games. But then all of those trade bot people are insurmountably disadvantaged by the person that owns a hack Switch or has access to a friend or network of people with a hack Switch because they can hack in Pokemon and practice strategies and stuff at a rate like 100 times the person of the bot. And also then it just kind of gets into other weird accessibility issues where you have to do third-party stuff that has restrictions, that has limitations. Like what if you're someone like me? Let's say genning is legal and I have to resort to genning. Every trade bot Discord would ban me on site. I would have a severely restricted ability to get access to these now mandatory third-party tools. So the only way you can have fair, accessible competition is by using what is allowed by the game with the completely fair rules that already exist. No one is stealing prize money. They won their battles with the team having legal movesets. Once again, being incredibly dishonest or unbelievably stupid. There's no such thing as a legal Pokemon by the rules, and while you get into technicalities of their moveset being possible, it doesn't make the Pokemon legal. Nothing would change if they had gotten their Pokemon in-game. Except we already talked about how, yeah, actually the entire situation of their experience and interaction changes depending on who has the advantage from breaking the rules. They have more time to practice, and they have infinitely more resources to change their team that becomes redundant by the next season. Or if, like, a meta shift happens before, like, in a short time before an event, they are able to respond and have an advantage over the players that have limitations granted by the world, they limited amount of time and resources to be able to actually do things. Also, there's even an argument for like the energy advantage that making a team is exhausting. It's going to make your practice, it's going to make your training, it's going to make your research even less effective than the person that just generates a team and is completely mentally fresh for all of that. So yeah, like no, everything changes actually. Could have someone make the team for you while you train on Showdown and you would get as much training as someone who genned. Except not everyone has the ability to just have someone make a team. The most popular VGC player has failed at that. So the average person isn't going to have any of that ability. Like who has a friend right now where you can go, hey, I can't compensate you. Just waste 100 hours of your life to get a team while I have fun playing games as well. And even then, that's an advantage to the genning player because they don't have to source that. How are people so stupid? Genning will still be this high until the games make it easier to make viable teams quickly. The greatest lie told from dishonest cheaters in Pokemon. Who would have guessed? We've been hearing this since Generation 5. So then we got the Destiny Knot. Then in Generation 7, we got Hyper Training. Then in Generation 8, we got mints and like crazy amounts of raid resources. Now it's quicker and easier to get competitive Pokemon, and everyone's still cheating and defending cheating, and 98% of VGC players are cheating, and it's every single top VGC player that's cheating. But then the realization is, oh, they've always been cheating because they can't do this amount, like the small amount of work for the level of competition that they are competing in. They never did it, especially when it was like 10, 20 times longer back in like Generation 7, Generation 6, and then all those shiny teams. Wow, yeah, these people are just scumbags. Who would have guessed? They crack down on genning, TPC loses a lot of respect from the general fan base. Who cares about the respect of cheaters? Also, no, it's not the general fan base, it's just the most toxic of people that want to cheat. Like, again, like, this is worthless. If they stop putting arbitrary barriers to team building, yes, the arbitrary barrier of play our game if you want to compete in our game for tens of thousands of dollars. And then genning will become more or less redundant, except not. And then I think they say, like, a redundancy of PK Hex. Their brain is just gone. Ginning isn't an issue. And again, the dishonesty of only using ginning. Because you use hacking. Oh, that sounds bad. That sounds worse. Oh, you use cheating, even though it's like ginning is objectively cheating. Cheating isn't an issue. What? These people are just stupid. It's a symptom. Cheating is a symptom. No. Again, you have no... Like, no one's forcing you to play Pokemon VGC and spend hundreds of hours to get competitive teams. That is a deliberate choice to harm others, to steal prize money, and be dishonest about it. So yeah, it's a symptom of the issue of the barrier being too high that can only be fixed by reducing the barrier. Except the barrier keeps getting reduced, and you people just get more entitled and bratty and stupid. Because I've debunked all of I'm a Blissy's arguments about this, where it's like, no, Pokemon's still more accessible, and it's actually more accessible now than before Generation 8, when we didn't have the national dex limitations, but no one was complaining then because people weren't getting caught at Worlds. Now people are getting disqualified, and more lies are coming out to cover for that. So yeah, it's like, no one's cheating. Okay, a few people are cheating, but it isn't a problem. Everyone's cheating. Here's why it's a good thing. Oh, yeah, just bad actors and evil the entire time. So yeah, you get me? No, like, there's no defense to cheating. You lose. You have lost. It is over. Before you reply, I'd appreciate if you tone down the callouts. I will do the same. It doesn't help our cases. You have no case. So yeah, I debunk them in the same way again. And then the weird thing about YouTube is it doesn't show all the replies, and that's not me. I don't censor the comments like that. It's YouTube automatically censoring and then deleting or hiding or shadow banning comments, which makes my life harder because I can't find all of them. And then these toxic brats lose their mind even more because they write something crazy and toxic, and then it gets like auto-flagged by YouTube, and they're like, "Did you delete my comment? See, that proves me right." It's like, no, I don't have that response, and in like 30 seconds, you automatically assumed that I deleted your comment, even though I've only been destroying you in argument, and you've only been in bad faith the whole time. And then they just go kind of crazy, even though I don't have, like, control over that because of YouTube. So I have to go directly into my comment feed and play around with the filters until I can actually find the comment that exists there, but is not visible on the video to me, and maybe some other people. Oh, and that's another funny thing, because people say, like, oh, you call others worthless, but you spend your time going back to a 2-year-old video to hunt down every comment. It's like, no, every comment, regardless of how old the video is. Actually, we can see this right here. Pokemon Quest video, a day ago. I just see it in the feed. This is my timeline. I'm not cycling through my 100 videos about cheating all day, every day, refreshing every 10 seconds to find the new comment from some idiot that thinks cheating is okay. YouTube gives it to me in my feed. Speaking of, these dumb NPCs with zero argument are too easy. Delete all the comments you want. Here's the comment, not deleted, where I can just have it exist. And then more derangement of people saying, if you block me or if you delete this comment, then I'm right, even though I've already demolished every point this person has tried to make. They only have deflection and impossible hypotheticals, yet they call me the coward. Shout into the void forever, you worthless brat. My, you type fast. Yeah, that kind of shows my intelligence and experience, which shows how little you think before you speak. No, I'm actually able to make coherent thoughts on the fly, which makes sense that you can't understand how that works. I was curious to know if everything said about you was true. It is, really. Color me impressed. That I'm correct all the time? Like, you haven't been able to show where I've been wrong or lie about anything. If you defend lying, cheating, and stealing, you're a scumbag. If you do it on the scale of Wolf, you're evil. If you cannot accept Wolf as a cheater, you're an idiot. These are facts. That is not, oh, everything about you is true. It just means that I'm the only morally good influencer in the Pokemon community, and all of these other brats and bad actors cannot cope. So they also have to lie about me. How can you even get people to your cause if you throw insults like a child to everyone and dismiss everything said as idiocy? It's not dismissed. It's a fact. This person is an idiot, and I've been able to prove that over the course of this video and just kind of like showing their interactions to me reading the rules and showing the truth. And this is another stupid comment I get where people go, no one's going to join your side if you're toxic and disrespectful. The cheater never had any respect to begin with and is the toxic one, choosing to inflict harm onto others and then try to rationalize or defend it. That person is a loser who will never flip anyways. Like, if you can't accept cheating is wrong, you can't be saved. So now we need to out that pollution. If everyone's an idiot, then take a look at yourself as a person. That doesn't change anything. If 99% of the population believes that 2 + 2 = 5, 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. Same thing with all the cheating in Pokemon. Just because this is a funnel for entitlement, toxicity, and brain rot, and I've been able to prove that, doesn't mean I'm incorrect. I don't let idiots warp reality that easily. Nothing sadder than someone who fell off dramatically. 500k subs, doomed to never reach it, getting less than 10k views on vids where it's yourself and no exposed or drama, says a lot about you. Another incredibly common lie, where it's like, no, I regularly can get tons of views, just look at my Pal World. Look at Lego Fortnite. I popped off in Lego Fortnite. I had some great performing videos with Elden Ring because my content is great. I don't get views because the algorithm is incredibly oppressive, especially when you're shadow banned like me and you get dislike botted and Google does nothing about it. Shadow banning is real and confirmed, and the Twitter leaks have even like showed, oh, it's every platform doing it, and it's just a fact that subs mean nothing on YouTube these days, because even if you sub, even if you hit the notification bell, you're not going to get notifications. Even if you watch everyone's video, that doesn't guarantee that's going to appear in the homepage, which is where over 90% of the viewership is going. Almost no one uses the sub feed, and that's a deliberate decision by YouTube to control what people are gaining access to and then manipulating them through the algorithm, which is also why, like, yeah, sub count doesn't matter in relation to viewership. And even then, my numbers aren't as bad as others, where you have, you know, A-Drive with 1 million, now under 1 million subscribers, haha, get wrecked, fraud. He gets, what, 30, 40,000 views on some videos now? Well, that means he has 900,000 people not watching his video instead of 500,000. Same thing with channels that have tens of millions of subscribers. Like, I love Linus Tech Tips, but okay, he has over 10 million subscribers, gets 1 million views on a video. That's 9 million people not watching. So, I mean, like, how are you gonna play favorites here? Like, if my channel's dead, then that means everyone on YouTube is dead, except for, like, the most bad of bad actors, like Wolfe Glick. And even then, that's going to be like 70, 80% unsub views, regardless of his sub count, because it's all algorithm. And everyone should know that, except for the stupid people that want to be toxic. I remember the times when you were a common name. Now the only reason why I'm here is because I got recommended this vid. Your biggest booming vid in ages. Ignoring the higher view videos that I've had since this video came out. Also, this video isn't booming. It's 4% recommended because of the dislike botting and shadow banning. And we can take an interesting look at the dislike botting. We go audience, geography, more metrics, dislikes, and then we can see 7,000 dislikes, but most of them aren't accounted for because they're not tracked. But, like, YouTube is weird. Because everyone has this misconception about what a view is. Like, oh, the video has to be open for 5 seconds to count as a view. No. Like 10, 15 seconds, some people even say, or dislikes that are fraudulent are eventually removed. No, like, we have at least 3,000 dislikes that can't be tracked on this video. That also doesn't mean, like, these aren't also moderately fraudulent, you know? When we look at ratio, it's like, oh, you know, 1,000 trackable dislikes in the United States, 4,000 from, like, other countries and stuff that can't be tracked, and then still a couple from, like, primary audience regions. So yeah, like, it's all bad and fraudulent regardless. So yeah, just none of what this person is saying is accurate because they are completely ignorant of YouTube, like they're completely ignorant of the rules of Pokemon. So yeah, like my biggest booming video in ages. Actually, we can even sort by views since this video came out. So we can sort by most viewed videos of the year for 2024, and we have Pal World, Elden Ring, Pal World, there's the Wolf video. Right under it, you know, only 6,000 less views, Pal World, more Elden Ring, and then if we go back into December, like even my Lego videos going into January are still pulling high views. So no, just deranged, just too stupid to function. Praying for the downfall of someone who is more successful than you could have been because that's the only way you can feel better about your own downfall. Bro, that's like everyone. Where it's like all these capitalist haters or all of these people that have been preying on my downfall or stuff like that. Also, I wouldn't consider Wolf successful because everything he has is built off of lying, cheating, stealing, and fraud. Like, why would I be envious? And also, it's really funny when you see people that can't use the correct one between jealousy and envy. But it's like, why would I be envious of someone who's so shit at a children's game, they need to cheat at it? Like, I'm just more disgusted that this evil behavior is being rewarded and getting so popular and being defended on a scale. But I don't wish I had that, because I easily could have had it if I was an evil person like Wolfey. But I choose to do the right thing at the cost of my own success, which tends to be how doing the right thing goes. I don't even like Wolfey myself, but he's far easier to defend than you. then what? Like, the brain rot, the cognitive dissonance. This dude's just nothing. I've seen some of your other replies. You claim that everyone is cheating, like 100% of people. That's the case, then there's a problem with the rule. No, again, that means there's a problem with the people choosing to break the rule. You cannot defend someone who is opting into a rule set to deliberately break it. And that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the rule if everyone wants to be an entitled brat that doesn't want to put any work or play the game that they're competing in. And it just does the other thing. It just shows that cheating is wrong. There's always legitimate players trying to compete, either because they think they can take on the cheaters that they don't stand a chance against, or they're just completely ignorant to how bad the problem is because they don't know Wolfey is a cheater because of the algorithm suppression from me and the defense that Wolf fans like this guy run to cover up all the cheating against him, and also just the lies of Wolfey himself. So it's also extra malicious and evil that he gets people interested in VGC, even though I think that's also overstated. Why is it that, like, Wolf is so popular and getting so many views, but VGC is still, like, one of the smallest esports and, like, a relatively dead scene? It's like, oh, we got record participation. Ah, yes, 1,000 people for the largest franchise in the world. And then when you go to the battle stadium, there's no English players playing because Wolf actually isn't growing VGC or getting as many people into VGC. He's actually killing the scene by being a complete fraud. But either way, like, Wolf knows people watch his videos, get inspired, and then, like, want to participate in VGC, and then he's the one cheating to disadvantage the new people he's recruiting into VGC, while also knowing other people cheat, and he's lying about it to defame me. It's just a whole ugly mess. But yeah, like, no, that actually has no evidence to the rule being bad, and then they choose to disobey it. And that's why cheating is wrong, because no one's forced to play Pokemon. You make constant comparisons to sports events, which is fine, but I'll give a better comparison. Game piracy and field piracy. God, that's just too stupid. To resolve ginning, they have to make getting good team as convenient or more convenient than going through the hassle of hacking the console or whatever the hell they do to gin. No. The requirement of, hey, play your game a bit, and then you can participate in the highest level of competition is fair and true of all sports and esports. Come again if you wish. You make for a fun time killer. And now delirium. It's always delirium. Or their mind just straight up shatters and all they can do is be like, I'm laughing so hard right now. It's a common thread of, like, the narcissism and psychopathy of these deranged weirdos. It's weird. Which is the best thing that can be said about you. This person really thinks they have something. That's just how fucked the toxic, negative brats in this community are. But I'm gonna keep on fighting because you always do the right thing, always. And almost no one in society or the younger generations understands that, and they choose evil. They choose to support the demons. It's really hard when over 90% of a community can't accept facts, so, like, it needs to go mainstream. This issue needs to be shown to someone else, and then it needs to kind of come in from the outside and destroy the corruption in Pokemon and break down and expose all the cheaters. Dream wasn't immune to it, and, like, now we're watching what's happening with Mr. Beast getting taken down and Chris and all of that stuff. So, like, it just needs that outside influence. The dream is that Carl Jobst eventually finds out what's going on with Wolfey, and then everyone hops in on that drama. We get Critical in there, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's get the entire internet community to understand what is happening in Pokemon. There's been about a dozen times where I'm like, surely this is where it all comes crumbling down. This is where it implodes. Hasn't. That's why you gotta fight for what you believe in. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.